the thrill, yeah. High octane drama can't get our fill. Engines roaring loud, heartbeats on the rise. On NFR, see the sparks in our eyes. Racing through the night, chasing every turn. On NFR, adrenaline we burn. Pit stops and fast cars, it's a wild ride. NFR, in our veins we can't hide. NFR, feel the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR, we're flying high. Under the lights, we touch the sky. Yeah. Every lap a story, every driver's dream. On NFR, racing's the supreme. Checkered flags waving, champions arise. NFR brings the glory to our eyes. NFR, where the legends are born. Speeding past the limits, engines reborn. In the fast lane, every second counts. NFR, the thrill always mounts. NFR, feel the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR, we're flying high. Under the lights, we touch the sky. NFR with the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR sling, every second counts. NFR, the thrill always mounts. NFR, feel the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR, we're flying high. Under the lights, we touch the sky. You move to NFR, feel the speed. You move to NFR. Tuesday night, 8 p.m. We go SAFRL the show. Engines roar, lights will glow. Feel the rush, feel the flow. Every lap, a twist, a turn. Speeding fast, rubber burn. Crowds cheer, hearts churn. Victory, what we yearn. SAFRL, we ride. Highs and lows side by side. Drama here can't hide. Victory, what we earn. SAFRL, we ride. Highs and lows side by side. Drama here can't hide. Racing fast in full stride. Crashes, spins on the track. Up and down, who's coming back? Champions rise, no slack. Push to the front, never back. Pit stops, precision, gold. Strategy, daring, bold. Who will lead, not foretold. Speed and skill, tales unfold. SAFRL, we ride. Highs and lows side by side. Drama here can't hide. Racing fast in full stride. It's time to go. Feel the speed, let it flow. Racing hearts, watch them glow. Turn it up, start the show. NFR, feel the heat. the track like a shooting star. Feel the rush, NFR. Lap by lap, watch them spin. Go, victory's close. Who will win? In our heads, the engine's din. NFR, let's begin. NFR, lights are green. Zooming fast, slick machine. Every twist, every scene. Catch the action on your screen. NFR, yeah. NFR, yeah. Drama high, stars afar. Round the track like a shooting star. Feel the rush, NFR. Lap by lap, watch them spin. Go, victory's close. Who will win? In our heads, the engine's din. NFR, let's begin.
Tuesday night lights burn bright. Racers chasing dreams in flight. SAFRL thunder roar. Spinning wheels forevermore. Engines scream at 8 o'clock. Adrenaline like ticking clock. Turns and twists where legends bleed. Every fan needs to believe. In the league of SAFRL we rise. Fuel and fire in our eyes. From the lows to the highest highs. It's the thrill that never dies. Pit stops quick, a race of fate. Champions born at heaven's gate. Trackside hearts beat wild and free. Victory for all to see. Rivalries burn tire lights. Red and green in the night. Final lap on the moon's gaze. Ending in a roaring blaze. Crowd rolls like crashing tide. In SAFRL we take pride. From start to end hero fights. Everlasting speed delight. In the league of SAFRL we rise. Fuel and fire in our eyes. From the lows to the highest highs. It's the thrill that never dies. In the league of SAFRL we rise. Fuel and fire in our eyes. From the lows to the highest highs. It's the thrill that never dies. In the league of SAFRL we rise. Fuel and fire in our eyes. From the lows to the highest highs. It's the thrill that never dies. The thrill that never dies. Pit stops quick, a race of fate. Champions born at heaven's gate. Trackside hearts beat wild and free. A victory for all to see. Rivalries burn tire might. Red and green in the night. Final lap on the moon's gaze. Ending in a roaring blaze. Crowd roars like crashing tide. In SAFRL we take pride. From start Exchange speed to light, to light. Folks, let me spin you a tale about a race car driver, George Russell by name. He's quick on the track, but don't get too excited, cause when it comes to greatness, well, he's not quite knighted. He's good, but not that great. Oh George, he's got the speed, but not the fate. Oh George, he looks like Woody from Toy Story, that's no lie. And when the race goes wrong, oh how that boy can cry. He's got the helmet, he's got the car, but when it comes to win, he's not quite up to par. He's got the look like Woody with a cowboy hat, but when he's in the pit, you'll see him shed a tear stack. Now don't get me wrong, he's got some skill, but when you're talking about the best, he's not in that mill. He'll race you hard, give you quite the fright, but in the end, he's more known for his tears at night. He's good, but not that great. Oh George, he's got the speed, but not the fate. Oh George, he looks like Woody from Toy Story, that's no lie. And when the race goes wrong, oh how that boy can cry. So here's to George, with his heart on his sleeve. In the world of Formula One, he's got a lot to achieve. He might not be the champ, but he sure is fun. So let's give a cheer for George, our Woody on the run. He's good, but not that great. Oh George, he's got the speed, but not the fate. Oh George, he looks like Woody from Toy Story, that's no lie. And when the race goes wrong, oh how that boy can cry. So here's to George, with his heart on his sleeve. In the world of Formula One, he's got a lot to achieve. He might not be the champ, but he sure is fun. So let's give a cheer for George, our Woody on the run.
Like a shooting star, the engines roar, the tires scream, fast as lightning, it's the dream. Speed and drama, every turn on NFR, the rubber burns. Feel the thrill of every bend, where the champions transcend. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR. In the quiet lanes of Silverstone town, folks are whispering about a boy falling down. Got a seat from his daddy, money's the king. Driving that Williams ain't like riding free. Tires spin, engines roar, but the podium's far. His wheels hit the gravel, now there's damage to the car. Got the world at his feet, yet he fumbles the lead. His dreams race away, but he's not in the speed. Daddy's money, daddy's ride, crashing dreams, nowhere to hide. Bought him a name that can't buy a skill. Lance keeps trying Now he's got his own team with a famous name. Aston Martin's the brand, but it's still the same shame. Every corner, every turn, the crashes unfold. Dreams wrapped in carbon fiber, truth left untold. Paddock folks shake their heads with a sigh as the green car spins and the hopes run dry. No matter the funds, it's a harsh game of pain.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to NFR on a Tuesday. It's time for SAFRL Season 10, Round 5. It's the second of the two mystery circuits for this calendar. So let's do our little wheel spin and reveal where the drivers will be driving in 5 minutes from now. First, I should probably find the wheel. There we go. Let's give it a spin. Of course, a lot of people asking for more. Oh, wow. Okay. Suppose the majority got what you wanted. Seems like we're going racing in Monaco. Hopefully the rain doesn't come. I heard some people speaking about rain too. So there you have it. Confirmation. You will be racing in Monte Carlo. Now it'll give drivers 4 minutes to prepare for Monte Carlo, and I will be back with you shortly.
Fighting for glory beneath the twilight. SAFRL on a Tuesday night. Adrenaline rush and flashing lights. Tears and triumphs on the line. In the race of life at 8 p.m. shine. The checkered flag is waving near. Fans are cheering, can you hear? Highs and lows in every lap. Drawn falls, no time for a nap. Competitors push with all their might, risking it all in the fight. Victory awaits the bold and brave. Legends are born on this stage. SAFRL on a Tuesday night. Adrenaline rush and flashing lights. Tears and triumphs on the line. In the race of life at 8 p.m. shine. Checkered flag is waving near. Fans are cheering, can you hear? Highs and lows in every lap. Drawn falls, no time for a nap. Competitors push with all their might, risking it all in the fight. Victory awaits the bold and brave. Legends are born on the stage. SAFRL on a Tuesday night. Adrenaline rush and flashing lights. Tears and triumphs on the line. In the race of life at 8 p.m. shine.
Feel the speed, the thrill, high octane drama can't get off fill. Engines roaring loud, heartbeats on the rise. On NFR, see the sparks in our eyes. Racing through the night, chasing every turn. On NFR, adrenaline we burn. Pit stops and fast cars, it's a wild ride. NFR in our veins, we can't feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR's lane, every second counts. NFR, the thrill always mounts. NFR, feel the rush, feel the speed. Formula One dreams, we take the lead. On NFR, we're flying high. Under the lights, we touch the sky. You move to NFR, feel the speed, the speed.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to NFR. Welcome back to SAFRL. Of course, I spoke to you about 5 minutes ago. That's when we spun the wheel to determine where we would be racing tonight. Of course, tonight the second of two mystery circuits on the calendar. Last time out, mystery circuit was Jeddah. This time round, also a street circuit, but a street circuit that is very different. Of course, Monaco needs no introduction. It was on the F1 calendar before F1 was a championship. First Monaco Grand Prix taking place in 1929, before F1 was officially a championship. One of these circuits originally on that 1950s F1 calendar that still remains today. We are indeed having Monte Carlo at night, it seems. I didn't even notice. Until the comment section pointed it out. Yes, indeed, we're having a Monaco night race. This track is well lit up. Drivers don't need to worry about load shedding if these streets suddenly went dark. Then we'd have a very interesting race on our hands. We'd have safety cars crashing into walls and all sorts of things. A Monaco night race it is. We're riding with Tian, one of the favourites, one of the drivers who really happy to drive on this circuit. I think I saw him mention Monaco. A few drivers mentioned Monaco, a few said no, not Monaco. Some drivers thrive on it, other drivers just fear it. They get really close to the walls, gotta use all of the racetrack, dig deep, gotta have confidence. If you're a little bit afraid of those walls, if you're a little bit tentative, just not gonna get the most out of it. And with some drivers in this field, you want to be up top, so you're gonna have to throw that car in, use all of the circuit, get as close to the barriers and throw caution to the wind. This is the RB of Tian. We've got a car frozen there. I think that is the Naked Champ. I think that was through Casino. Car is just frozen in the middle of the corner. It is ghosting, but drivers, if you're listening to this in the background, don't let that put you off. Can put a driver off when he's coming around that corner, when he's on a hot lap, when he's focused, looking for the apex of the corner, and suddenly there's something in front of you, even though it's ghosting, might just hesitate. Hesitation will cost you. Got a few drivers out on circuit. Natsumi still in the safety of the pits, as is Skull and Spikes, as well as Andre, choosing to remain in the pits for now. It's Faree goes quickest with a 1:10.3. Second best is Mink, 1:10.6. Then the next best, a 1:11.1. So just the two drivers in the 1 minute 10s. We expect that to change by the end of these first run of laps. Still a lot of drivers need to set their lap time. This is Sabi, one of the two Mercedes. The other one still in the pits, no lap time. That's Pantry Star. We've had a big incident with that Mercedes. The camera switched to inside the tunnel and we're waiting for the Mercedes, and the Mercedes is not arriving. So that Mercedes had a nasty spin and probably some damage. Speaking of damage, that's a broken McLaren. So Virus returns to the pits without a lap time. This is the danger of qualifying in Monte Carlo. Short race circuit, you think you can get around here pretty quickly. You're not going to have any problems with doing all your runs in qualifying. Well, on an outlap around here, it's very easy to lose a wing. Look, there's another one. There's another one. Sabi's got damage. We saw that broken McLaren. Guys going out, damaging the car on the outlap, possibly on the timed lap, and then just abandoning it altogether means you come into the pits without a lap. And each time you go out there and try again, the pressure is just that little bit more. Tian goes over the line and becomes the first driver into the 109s this evening, and it's, well, it's not a lead you would want to see as one of the competitors. Tian, it's Faree, that's the front row for now, then Mink. Mink is followed on the second row by Ladmine, then the two Selbers. These two, as teammates, have been doing a fantastic job. We saw a good result out of them last week. There's only one Ferrari here this evening, and I can't say his name. So if anybody knows that name in P6 currently, let me know. Or I'll just call him SPM, I don't know, SPM. Ooh, that was a big one. Salber out of qualifying. That's the end of Skulk. One of the Salbers will take no further part, and he better hope that that lap time is half decent, otherwise he's just going to fall to the rear of the field. Still no movement from Andre. Still no movement from... Oh wow, is that Skull? Let me know in the comment section. Seems like Skull has lost his Wi-Fi, so that would explain the horse in the middle of the circuit. It's Faree, and currently in P2, 1097. Sugar Bear now disqualified from the session. That's a big one. Remember, it doesn't matter what lap time you set prior to that disqualification, or if you set a lap prior to that disqualification. If you didn't, if you did, it'll be erased. You're going right to the back of the field, regardless of how many other retirements may happen in qualifying. The car that is disqualified is guaranteed to start last. If more than one car gets disqualified, well, the car that got disqualified first starts last. Skull saying he cannot get into the game. The only recommendation I can make to Skull is to completely leave the game. Basically start another, come back into F1 and try again. I've had that error in the past where I just can't join a lobby. I leave the game, I come back, and suddenly the invite works. we can give that a try. Hopefully we can get him back before the end of qualifying, or at least he can start at the rear of the field for the race. Tian, still the quickest driver, not the only driver in the 109s anymore. We now have It's Free also in the 109s challenging, and that is a very close lap time. I can't see that lap time properly, but I think that is a 6.84 versus a 7.09. So just over 200ths of a second covering the front row. Then Mink and Ladmine, they're still on that second row. Pantry Star up to the third row with Not Shumi. Then the second Red Bull of Top Gun is going with, I don't know what to call him, SPM. And then we've got Skulk sitting in P9 as things stand, but that car is retired, so anyone able to improve on that lap time will move ahead of him. He's not able to come out and defend that anymore. Sabby P11 still looking for his first lap time. As the session goes on, setting that lap time becomes more and more difficult, but Sabby puts the lap time down with 8.5 minutes remaining in the session. It's good enough for P9, it's 112.9. Probably want a little bit more than that, but for now he'll be relieved to get a time on the board. This is one of the McLarens, or it is one of the two McLarens. For a second I thought we only had one McLaren, but both McLarens looking for their first lap time. Spikes is out on track, as is his teammate. We're looking at his teammate, Virus. Both drivers, both McLarens, looking for their initial lap time here in qualifying. Cement their mark on qualifying. They don't want to be starting at the rear of the field. The last thing you want to be doing. Tian goes even quicker. 109.557. He improved by just over a tenth of a second. That car still so distracting in a terrible place. And well, not Shumi. 5 grid place penalty for a collision with Ladmine. So that's not going to be very helpful wherever Not Shumi qualifies. You can move 5 positions from that. Starts down the order, it's not going to affect him much. Currently in P6, that would mean he'd start in P11. Wants to start inside the top 10, he's going to have to qualify inside the top 5. Tian and now Mink up into P2, so it's an RB12, and look at the lap times, a 109.557, a 109.603, and a 109.709. So nothing in it between the top 3 drivers. Ladmine, well, he was looking to get closer and join those trio, but we saw he had an incident with Not Shumi. Not really sure what that was about. Maybe the drivers will let us know later if either one of them show up on the podium. Pantry Star, one of the 2 Mercedes drivers, the other one Sabby. He just completed his first timed lap. Things were starting to get a little bit stressful, but then he managed to put that lap in. It was good enough for P9 at the time. It has since slipped down to P10. He needs to go out there and do another. It was a benchmark that might have been a bit tentative at that point in the session, just trying to get around and set the thing. Once that's done, and actually go out and try throw the car around a little bit more. Luckily for us, in qualifying, at least here on F124, not going to have any red flags. If anyone crashes here in Monaco, we will get the full 5.5 minutes remaining. Might just have a few yellow flags, but they're pretty inconsequential in this game. They'll disappear pretty quickly in qualifying, and there won't be any red flags. Just saying that to remind you all that in this last stint, some of these quick guys, they just throw everything at it, and occasionally you'll see the quickest guys on track have the most spectacular crashes here in Monaco on their final quali run. That's when they throw caution to the wind. They've got the front row start already, and they just give it everything, see how much they've got left in the pocket. Turns out there was nothing left in the pocket except some Armco barrier. Tian. Still the quickest man, it's Free, still P2. None of the drivers have mentioned to me in the comment section anything about weather, so I don't think we will have any rain in the race, otherwise it probably would have been mentioned at this point. There's one thing hopefully the drivers won't have to worry about. One thing the drivers will have to contend with. I don't think the slower drivers or the midfield drivers will mind too much. The quicker drivers might annoy them. I think tonight we might get quite a few safety cars. The reason I say it annoys the quicker drivers is they can't pull off, they can't pull away, let the natural course of the race set that timing sheet. Safety car keeps on coming in, keeps on compressing the field, and keeps on causing everyone to have a restart. Landmine, 5 grid place penalty for collision with Pantry Star, but Pantry Star was ghosting. Well, not quite sure what that was about. We clearly saw that the Mercedes was ghosting in the middle of the circuit and Landmine simply drove through it. He picks up a 5 grid place penalty and I don't think he's too happy about that. It's Ferrari still the quickest. Tian, in fact Tian was the quickest. It's Ferrari has gone quickest. Look at those lap times. It's a 109.5 versus a 109.5, and then on the second row a 109.6. So just 1/10 of a second covering the top 3 drivers. Pantry Star, saw him get into a little bit of trouble on that last lap, and again you see the front wings. So many broken front wings on outlaps. It's something you don't see at other circuits, something that's quite rare at other circuits, drivers making mistakes on outlaps. But here in Monaco, you're trying to get temperature into those tires, you're trying to get temperature into those brakes. And you have to drive a little erratically on that outlap. You can't just cruise around, otherwise you're never going to get those temperatures up. Just bring up some data for you. No surprises there in the tires. Everybody on the soft compounded tire. Remember, we've got that one disqualification. That was Sugar Bear, one of the 2 Salbers, going to be starting at the rear of the field. We're currently riding with the second Red Bull. This is Top Gun, just inside the top 10 in P9, 112.2. He's half a second adrift from his teammate up the road, Notsumi, in P8, so the Red Bull's line astern. Keep your eyes on this lap, because, well, as he pulled into the pits, he has pulled into the pits. He lit up sector 2 in purple. I don't know if that was a mistake from the game, or if he just wasn't interested. 1.5 minutes remaining. Don't think there's enough time to get back out there. But he pulled out of that lap when a purple seemed certain, at least according to the game from where we were sitting. This is its very quickest man on track, 106.5. Then Tian with a 109.5. What is that? It's a 109.5, followed by another 109.5. So these two extremely close. Remember, it's the shortest race circuit on the calendar. In fact, it even breaks F1's own rules. Tian up into provisional pole, and with a lap time that will break hearts, a lap time that will break spirits. Look at that. We were talking about the 109s, we were talking about how close things were, and then he pulls out a 108, almost a second clear of the field. 9/10 of a second clear of the field. But Tian showing some dominance here in Monaco, and maybe the rest of the field now doesn't think safety cars would be a very bad idea. So it's very just tapping the wall there. We saw some carbon fiber. Don't know where that came from, because there's no damage to the front wing. Of course, you don't want to be tapping walls when you're looking for every single 1/10 of a second you can find. Every moment you're making contact with a wall, you're not moving forward. Contion, Mink, RB12, it's Free wants to spoil that little party. Be able to do so if he's able to drive just 500ths of a second. He'll be able to get himself onto the front row. And as I say that, where did Logic come from? 109.1. That might just cement Logic on the front row, having come from nowhere. I didn't speak about him in qualifying at all. In fact, we had 17 drivers, we're up to 18, and I said we had one Ferrari driver, so it seems like Logic has squeezed into the lobby. And what a lap time, a 109.1. It's Ferrari's done a 109.1 of his own, but he is 7/10 adrift from Logic, who came in right at the end and stole that front row. Not quite quick enough for pole, but that's just in a different league right now. Tian takes pole position with a 108.6, the only driver in the 108s. Next best, Logic came out of nowhere with a 109.1. It's Ferrari improved to a 109.1 of his own, but it wasn't good enough. Stays in P3. It's going to be followed by Mink, Gladmine, Pantry Star, Not Shumi, SPM, Spikes, and Top Gun make up the top 10. Not in the top 10 with a lot of work to do. It's going to be Captain, Slow, Savvy, Skulk, Virus, Naked Champ, Skull, Andre, and Virus. Is it Virus? No, it's not Virus. Who's starting from the back of the field? It's Sugar Bear. Sugar Bear starting from the rear of the field. Remember, Sugar Bear was disqualified in qualifying. We didn't get a reason for that. We didn't see the notification. It probably was one. We just didn't read it in time. It usually gives us a little indication as to why that disqualification happened. But I suppose that question will simply remain in the air. Now we look down the empty pit lane. All of the cars will be to the right hand side of your screen doing their final preparations for Monaco. Remember, this is a track that a lot of drivers, they would spend a little bit of extra time fine tuning, doing a bit of extra practice, make sure they don't want to visit a wall. This time around, just so happens that one of the most challenging circuits, if not the most challenging circuit on the F1 calendar, fell under a mystery race. That means the drivers have not had time to prepare. Hopefully for some of them, because multiple of these drivers drive in different leagues, so hopefully for one or two of them, they might have an advantage if they've done Monaco recently in one of those leagues. But if you're one of those drivers who just hates Monaco, avoids it at all costs, doesn't practice it at all, and hasn't done it in a league for a while, well, you might just be found wanting here tonight. To have a bit of a pause as we wait for all the drivers to prepare. Of course, we're not going to be underway immediately. First, we are going to get a formation lap. That'll be the first time the drivers actually feel this car with a full tank around this circuit. There we go. She's got the dual green lights. And at least for now, doesn't appear to have any rain. Tian's not wasting any time, is he? Look at that track map. He's ages in front of everybody. He might want to slow down. I know he's trying to get that tire temperature. He's trying to get that brake temperature. Wants to get on with the race. But if the field just trail that way, he's going to be sitting in his grid box for what feels like an awfully long time. He's entering the tunnel. Most drivers can't even see the tunnel yet. Of course, at the back, here in the front, everything seems pretty open, but at the back, sometimes you can get a real Constantina effect where all the cars just get a little bit too close together. You don't want to bump into anybody, get disqualified, get sent to that grid slot, sit there with your cold tires. And wait for the inevitable turn 1 disaster. Hopefully we don't have an inevitable turn 1 disaster and everything goes through quite nicely. Remember not to jump turn 1, guys. That's something I've seen here in Monaco many times, guys trying to avoid contact, and they'll end up jumping turn 1 and getting an immediate warning, and in some cases jump straight to a penalty. You don't get the best camera angle, but you can love the game for that. Seems like Skull has left again, so he's struggling to get into his car. That is unfortunate for Skull. Hopefully, if he's not too frustrated, if he's not driving, at least we'll have him in the comment section. Let me know what happened there. Of course, one of those nights when the internet doesn't want to work for you, when technology doesn't want to work for you, you realize how useless all this stuff really is. 5 red lights, when they go out, we get underway, and there we go. RB versus Logic into turn 1, and Logic accepts P2 for now. The cars stream through. If you see any carbon fiber flying, let me know. I didn't see any carbon fiber flying. Looks like everybody got through turn 1 nicely. The 2 Selbers, I said they did well in the previous round. Well, they're down in P13 and 14. Sugarbear's already made up a few positions. Remember, he was a DSQ. But Logic still in P2. It's for P3. So the top 3 holding firm for now. Then you've got Mink in P4, Pantry Star P5, second of the Ferraris, SBM, so it's a good night for Ferrari so far. Second and 6th. Then we've got the first of the 2 McLarens. This is Spikes, Top Gun P8, Ladmine P9, and Not Shumi making up the top 10. Dion still leads the way, Logic still P2, it's Ferrari still P3. That was the starting order in the race and nothing has changed. Of course, this is a circuit where overtaking can be quite difficult. You've really got to be throwing caution to the wind and having a lot of confidence in your own overtaking ability. You do get the 1 DRS zone on this circuit, but it is probably, without any debate, the most useless entire DRS zone on the entire calendar. So you can't really rely on that DRS zone to make overtakes lap after lap, unless you're right on the gearbox of that car as close as can be. You're not going to make an overtake based on that DRS. So a lot of this is going to have to be done in the pits. If you're matching that opponent of yours, it's going to be undercut, overcut, little bit of a roll of the dice. It's not going to be your standard Grand Prix, because this circuit, there's nothing standard about it. Said earlier that Formula 1 breaks its own rules just to have this track on the calendar. Of course, every racing circuit that wants to host a Formula 1 Grand Prix has to have an F1 Grade 1 status. In order to get that F1 Grade 1 status, there are many rules that apply. One of those rules, one of many rules, is that no Grade 1 circuit can be less than 3.5 kilometers. Well, Monaco's got some answering to do. Monaco is definitely not 3.5 kilometers, it's 3.2 kilometers. So F1 breaks its own rules to keep this track on the calendar. That's why it's been here for so long. Some people hate it, say it doesn't fit modern F1. Other people love it, say F1 wouldn't be the same. Dion, Logic, so close together. It's lap 3, still on top of each other, just a tenth of a second between the two. And when they start to pile up, when they start to attack each other and defend from each other, then that's just going to allow It's Ferrari to come right back into this conversation. Mink, on the other hand, in P4, he has fallen out of that conversation. The top 3 have run away. They're 5 seconds up the road from the P4 driver. Then you've got Pantry Star, who's still within DRS, but like I say, DRS at this circuit, it's not as useful as it is at other circuits, so don't read too much into it. The driver's within a second. still doesn't mean he's going to be able to pull that overtake. This is SPM, the second Ferrari, and P6, Pantry Star, Mink. Let's go back to these top three because they're so close together. It's an RB, an Alpine, and a Ferrari, and some carbon fiber. I'm pretty sure I saw some carbon fiber unless somebody drove over something. And I think there's your confirmation. Left-hand side end plate for the Ferrari missing in action. And that's going to be very frustrating for the Ferrari driver, very frustrating for Logic around Monte Carlo. You need every little bit of downforce that is on offer. That'll obviously start to affect the way he drives, affect his confidence into the corners. But surely he's not going to be able to pit for an end plate. He's going to have to stay out there. He would just lose way too much time coming into the pits. He'd come out right at the back of the field. So he needs to stay out there. I just hope he can sort of stay sandwiched in this position. Let Tian tow him around if need be, and make sure he stays in front of its Ferrari, which should be a lot easier considering where we're racing this evening. Still RB from Ferrari, from Alpine. Italian team in P1, Italian team in P2. Many people think of Ferrari as the only Italian team. It's not quite right. RB is an Italian team, their factory is even based in Italy. It's originally known as the Minardi team, before being bought by Red Bull, renamed Toro Rosso. It's Italian for, you guessed it, Red Bull. We have our first stoppage in the race. Not a full stoppage, it's not a full safety car, it's a virtual safety car. So I think for the most part, unless the driver's got serious damage, I don't think anybody's going to utilise this for the pits. They're just going to want to hold on to track position for now. It's only lap 6 of a very, very long race. This is probably the most laps you're going to see on the calendar for a 50% race, 39 laps. Around the Monaco Principality. This place is absolutely tiny. 1 minute you're in France, drive through this thing, the next minute you're back in France. It's really just a few kilometers long. Had a drive-through penalty there. That may have been speeding under the virtual safety car. It wasn't for any of the top 7 drivers. No one in the top 7 has penalties yet, but we do have a few penalties scattered around for a few of the drivers. Let's bring up some data for all of you at home. See the drivers at the back, 5 drivers at the back, they've all done pit stops. And then just looking at the tyre situation, Tian, Logic on the hard tyre, looking to go deep into this race. It's Ferrari in P3, he was probably hoping that that medium could propel him past these two at the start of the race, give him some sort of an advantage in the early days. Unfortunately for him, he's stuck behind 2 cars, and making those positions is going to be very difficult. So even though he's on the superior tyre, he's got the superior grip lap after lap, he's just not able to make those overtakes, and the potential of that softer compound just gets lost completely. Tian still out front, then Logic in P2, then it's Ferrari. Q-Bomb saying that Big T and Logic have collided. They're racing so close together, they're racing so hard, and they're racing a circuit that really allows no space. But remember, these cars are the largest F1 cars we've ever had, the widest F1 cars we've ever had, the heaviest F1 cars we've ever had. And Monaco, well, it hasn't gotten much wider. So the fact that these guys can drive so close together lap after lap is impressive in itself. But now Logic thinks about it, looks towards the inside, thought better of it. But look at that. Car in front, Tian missing an end plate. Car behind in second place, missing an end plate. Car in P3 in perfect condition, but can't make up a position. That's the difference Monaco makes. He's got the superior tyre. The two cars in front of him both have damage, and yet he still can't make the overtake. Last time I ever drove to a podium, it was at this very circuit, and it was simply because I made that car as wide as a bus. Late safety car, bunch of cars, got drive-through penalties in front of me, 4 or 5 of them actually. I landed up on the podium, they came out, they couldn't get past me in the last 6 or 7 laps of the race, because I drove it like an absolute bus. No one's driving it like an absolute bus at the front though. Tian, Logic, it's Ferrari, still close together. It's Ferrari's fallen a little adrift from these two. These two right on top of each other. It's Ferrari almost at a safe following distance. Pantry Star on the other hand, he's in P4. He's taken that position away from Mink, but he's still 5.3 seconds adrift from the fight for the top 3. This is Mink. He's now being followed by Ladmine followed by the Ferrari of SPM. Then we got one of the two McLarens, Spikes in P8, Top Gun P9, and Sabi is your final point. On the other side of things, not having a fantastic day, Captain Slow is at the rear of the field on a set of hard tyres, and he's got a few penalties next to his name. Let's see what those penalties are. Not good. Captain Slow at the rear of the field with a 10-second penalty, which he will serve at his next pit stop, or will be deducted at the end of the race. Same for Virus, running in P17. He's got a 10-second penalty of his own. Then 3-second penalties for the likes of Skulk, Top Gun, Spikes, and now Mink has actually just joined that club. Sabi, well, he's on 6 seconds himself. We've got Captain Slow. That's not the way to the tunnel. That is not the way to the tunnel. Well, at least he's driving an Aston Martin. He's got an excuse that one Aston Martin driver can occasionally leave the circuit, and it's totally fine. It's never shocking to see a green car go sideways. Sort of roll your eyes and go, oh, Lance. Then you realize that wasn't Lance, but just pretend it was. Naked Champ, P13, not Shumi. Now how quick this driver can be. This is a circuit that can change things up. Yes, we see guys like Tian, Logic, it's Ferrari, they're quick anywhere. But you are going to see examples of guys that are really quick. Usually you'll expect to see them at least in the points, at least in the midfield. When it comes to Monaco, you see them on the other side of the timing sheets, and it's just because they don't practice this place. They avoid it at all costs. Some will say yes, but I did practice. My question is, can you compare your laps done on this circuit to probably any other circuit on the calendar? You'd say I've done very few laps of Monaco in comparison. Guys at the front, well, they seem to have done lots of laps in Monaco because they know exactly what they're doing. 0.2 of a second, look at that, right on top of each other in the tunnel. There's absolutely no space there. Surely he's not going to try around the outside. There's no space to do that. Didn't really give him the room. But Logic, there was no overtake on the cards there. He was coming from too far back around the outside. This wasn't going to happen. Mink has retired from the session and triggered the second virtual safety car of the evening. Not a full safety car. I think a few of the guys in the field would have loved that. And now interesting, these two cars will be separated for the first time. Maybe Logic could have used this opportunity to come in, get a pit stop and get that wing changed. He's decided to continue with that broken wing. Tian has not done the same. He's come into the pits, and you can see him falling down the order as he loses positions. A lot of cars choosing to stay out on track. This is Tian. He's emerging from the pits now. He's going to hold on to P6. The most important thing for him is that everybody in front of him needs to make a pit stop. So theoretically, he's leading this race. And the leader of this race has wing damage. So the longer he spends out there, while Tian sits out there with a perfect car, he's simply going to lose time lap after lap. That being said, around Monaco, you can't just come into the pits and simply come through the field. Sometimes you come into the pits and get trapped. You get trapped behind a driver that's much slower than you. There's just nothing you can do. And it's one of the rare occasions where an overcut is the better option to an undercut. Of course, the drivers don't have all the data that we have here on the screen. They have some data that we don't have, and we have some data that they don't have. They can't see that entire list on the left hand side. They can only see about 5 names, so it's very difficult to judge your pit stop, where you're going to come out in the field. You have no idea of how the midfield looks if you're in P1. They're close together. If there's a gap for you to come out, you sort of have to make that pit stop and hope for the best. Skull now retires from the session, and a third time in this race we get a virtual safety car. Still no safety car making an appearance. I wonder if maybe they left the safety car at home, because they seem pretty reluctant to show the safety car. This is the third virtual safety car of the race. I'll tell you, it's frustrating for some of these drivers. They'll be hoping for a safety car, something that they can come into the pits. For those two at the back, they can serve their 10-second penalties, get back out there, join the back of the queue. Some of these other drivers, they would just like to close these gaps from the misfortune of earlier pit stops. But they're just not getting a full safety car, they're just getting the virtual safety car. That basically means you have to slow down to an average speed, drive within a delta. Does not allow you to close the gap on the rest of that field. DRS is enabled. That means safety car, virtual safety car that is over. Tian back underway. I was speaking about you want to come out in a bit of a bubble, and Tian's got that just right. He's 2 seconds adrift from SAFRL. Just bring up your pit screen. SAFRL is just ahead of Tian, and those two cars have done pit stops. The top 4 yet to make a pit stop. This is the man out front. Of course, he was in P2 when Tian made that decision. He was following Tian very closely at the time. He could have simply followed him into the pits. He chose not to. Chose to hold on to track position. Chose to trust the initial strategy, which was starting on hard tires and going deep into the race. And for somebody who struggles around this circuit in a perfect race car, it's even more impressive that he's doing it in a broken race car. Remember, he does have front wing damage. It's not ideal at a circuit that is so reliant on downforce. Pantry Star in P2, but he's nowhere near challenging the leader. 9.3 seconds is the gap between 1 and 2. He is under pressure for that P2 though from Ladmine. Ladmine just 3/10 adrift. One of the closer battles on circuit at the moment, and now we've got, is that another retirement? Well, I don't think I've seen this many in a race unless the safety car was left off in the settings. I'm not really sure. If I'm not, I think this is the fourth virtual safety car. Seems like the safety car refuses to make an appearance this evening. We've had virtual safety car after virtual safety car. We've had 3 retirements now in the race. We've had an RB retire from the race. We've had a Red Bull retire from the race, and a Sauber retire from the race. Virtual safety car just nullifies the race, but not really in a good way. If you're in the lead, if you're fighting for the lead, if you're one of those top cars, you'll love the virtual safety car. Just sort of gives you a breather for half a lap. You just have to stay within that delta, then you get going. Get on with that battle you were involved in. Now Pantry Star comes into the pits. Now I wonder if this might just be a little bit too late. Remember, it is a virtual safety car. So if it ends and everybody gets up to speed, you don't get that full benefit. Seems like it's a pretty lengthy one. Virtual safety car still. There we go, DRS as he gets to the pit exit, so that worked out perfectly for him. Just the benefit of pitting under a virtual safety car is everybody's driving within that little green delta. They're not giving it everything, throwing the car around. Means while you're sitting stationary, everybody's moving a little bit slower. So you make up a lot of time in that pit stop. Top 4, Logic, Ladmine, SPM, and It's Free. Is there a hidden name in that I'm not seeing? Let me know. You guys look at that name, let me know, is there a hidden name? Sometimes I look at something I can't pronounce and people tell me what it is and I'm like, aha, it does say that. The characters are just a little messed up, but I honestly don't see a name in that. So until further notice, SPM. Spikes picks up a 3-second penalty. I believe he already had 6 seconds worth of penalties, so he's going to add that to his collection. Just had another DNF. We've got a caution. What will this caution bring? Will it bring a safety car? Will it bring a virtual? Or will it simply disappear? It's quite remarkable that we're on lap 17 of a Monaco Grand Prix. I just have Skull asking me for an invite to the lobby, so if you guys will just excuse me for a moment, I'm going to try and get that invite out to Skull. And we're back. I hope you got that invite. I sent it out. Logic still leads the way. He's 11 seconds ahead of the driver in P2. That is Ladmine, also on 17 lap old hards. Then SPM in P3, also with 17 lap old hards. Top 3 drivers all on the same strategy. Hasn't played out that well for them because they've got Itzfari and Tian in P4 and 5 trying to break into that top 3. And this is the frustrating part of the race, especially for these quick drivers. These quick drivers, they will be used to it. Race in, race out. You come out of the pits. If there are a few overtakes to make, you make them. You've got that sort of pace. But in Monaco, you might come out of the pits, much faster tyre, much faster driver, much better setup. Everything in your favor. You just cannot make that overtake. Of course, Formula E has proven if you make the cars a little lighter and a little smaller, you can get overtakes at this circuit. Of course, the Formula E calendar runs their Monaco Grand Prix on this very same layout. I think it was 2 or 3 seasons ago, they had 23 overtakes for the lead. Logic, Ladmine and SPM. Then Itzfari and Tian. Those 2 drivers desperately trying to get past, and I think now he's done enough. At least Itzfari has done enough, and this could quickly turn into disaster for Tian. Remember, those 2 are neck and neck. They're matching each other's pace lap after lap. and if he finds himself behind this Ferrari for a little bit too long, he's not going to be a happy man, and that's why he's cleared the Ferrari immediately. Clears him in the tunnel, wastes no time. He knows if he gets stuck behind the Ferrari for 2 or 3 laps, he might just see it's Ferrari disappearing up the road. And he said, I'm having none of that, and taking this position right here in the tunnel. Spike's having a decent drive in P7, but he does have penalties next to his name. Once the official results do come through, we're going to see a lot of these names switching around. Somebody who hasn't had a fantastic race in P11, Andre, just outside the points, but he has kept his name clean of penalties, and that is going to be the crucial thing. I joked prior to qualifying in the comment section that track limits at this circuit equal a safety car. Well, apparently they don't. Apparently they don't. We are yet to see a safety car in lap 20 of 39. We have had 4 virtual safety cars. Other than that, no stoppages in the race. Of course, this is a night Monaco race, if you haven't noticed. Adding a little bit of spice. Virtual safety car yet again. What is going on tonight? I have some questions. Lap 21 of 39. No safety car in a Monaco race. Yet we have had 5 virtual safety cars. Skull now officially DNFs. Got an invite, came into the lobby and DNF'd. I think he just wanted to retake control of that car, bring it into the pits and retire it. Maybe it was ghosting around the circuit, not quite sure. Good to have Skull in the comment section. I don't think this is his favourite circuit, so I don't think he'll be too depressed by this retirement. He could be a little bit more disappointed about a retirement in Italy. He tends to like the tracks in Italy. Monaco could be like, oh well, anyway, let's get on with it. Tracks can only get better from here. Logic leads, it's Ferrari in P2 and then Tian. It's an interesting gap. Thought he might get a big disadvantage for not pitting. But this has actually worked out quite nicely in his favour. You've got a 22-second gap. That's about the same amount of time as it's going to take to make a pit stop around here. So I think those 3 drivers who initially raced each other so hard in the opening laps, well, they're going to find each other, or they're going to find themselves rather, racing each other very soon, yet again. Logic, 22 seconds. When is he going to come in? When is he going to get rid of those tires? That is touch and go with a pit stop, but he doesn't want it to drop any further than that. Once it drops to 2019, well, then he's going to drop below these 2 drivers. So if he's going to make that pit stop, he needs to react. He needs to do it either at the end of this lap or the next. Keep his eyes on that 22-second gap, and the moment it starts to drop, it's time to drop off those tires. He's not going to drop them off just yet. Stays out for another lap, does Logic. Heads around the final corner, and everything seems to look okay there. I don't see any sliding. Looks pretty confident. Gap still 22 seconds as it was, so it's remaining stable. He looks pretty stable on circuit, doesn't look too uncomfortable, doesn't look too panicked on those tires. I think he's still going to be out there for quite some time, but he is officially now the longest on those tires. We actually have 2 drivers on the same strategy. Naked Champ down in P7 and SPM down in P4. Those 2 drivers are also driving with their original set of hard tires from the beginning of the race. Logic still holding on to that 22 seconds. I want to go back to this battle for P2. I wonder if these 2 were just battling each other and that's helping Logic maintain that gap. They don't seem to be engaging right now. They are close, but doesn't seem like Tian is lining up any overtakes for now. Logic still able to maintain that 22-second gap. It's a gap that's going to bring him, well, thankfully that happened too quick for me to say anything, but if I saw it, all of you saw it on your screen, and it didn't look good for a moment. But you can all breathe easy. Logic is not in the wall. That was something the internet just decided to show you to wake you up in this Monaco Grand Prix, but that did not happen, fortunately for Logic and all of the viewers. 22.5 seconds is the gap. So not only is he maintaining it, he is growing it ever so slightly. It's Ferrari versus Pantry Star. Where is Tian? Tian is in the pits, is he? Oh, he's on his way out of the pits. Hope he didn't go over that pit line. He'll get a warning for that. 10 seconds adrift. He's on a brand new set of mediums. Strategies that work at other circuits, they might just not work for you here. You might go in late, put on a set of softs, that'll make up the positions, and then it simply doesn't happen. It's stuck behind somebody else. Like 24 of 39. Of course, usually after Tuesday night we go on a pretty lengthy break until we get to SKR yet again on a Sunday. But remember, this week we're having 2 further races this week. We're having a race on Wednesday night, we're having a race on Thursday night. Those are British based races, so they start at 8 PM in Britain, they start for 10 PM for us. I hope to see all of you there. That is for the HRA races. It's going to be Division 2 tomorrow, followed by Division 1 on Thursday night. And you're going to see 1 or 2 familiar names in that field. The likes of Weeze, the likes of It's Ferrari. Place where Weeze goes to look like just a normal driver. Call 1 or 2 of these guys aliens? Well, 2/3 of those fields are aliens. Things get really competitive, and drivers you expect to see at the top, they're not at the top. It's the biggest retirement we've had so far. We've now had the retirement of Tian. We saw him coming into the pits. Questioned why he came. No, he's out of the race now. That's the end of that. Not quite sure what happened. He is in the comment section. So Tian, if you want to let me know what happened, if it's well, if you're a little bit too angry, I will censor your message and say it in a nice way. Q1 also asking in the comment section, why did you retire, Big T? Let us know what happened in your race. Things were looking good up until that point. Logic now left in the lead of the race with a 20.9 second gap. He has to make a pit stop, get rid of those hard tires. Means he's going to finish on the much better compound, and if he can come out ahead of It's Ferrari, it's going to be very difficult for It's Ferrari to mount any sort of a challenge when the driver ahead of him has much fresher and a better compound of tire. The next few laps for It's Ferrari will be crucial. Needs to keep that gap below 20 seconds. 17, 18 would be preferable. That would mean he'd come out, he would be ahead. But when Logic eventually pits, say eventually, there he is going around Casino. He's not going to pit. Of course, back in the 90s, this was probably, I think it was the only, there might have been another 1 or 2, but I'm pretty sure this was the only track on the calendar in the 90s that pit stops were not mandatory. So you could fill the fuel tank and you could literally finish a race around Monaco. It's the only track you could do it on, and if you could make those tires last, well, I've seen drivers do it. I saw Mika Salo do it. Simply drove the car right to the end of the race without making a single pit stop. You can't do that anymore. You need to use 2 compounds of the 3 available. unless it's raining. If it's raining from start to end, well then you don't have to pit at all if you can make those tires last. Logic leads the way from SAFRL. The gap's still 20 seconds. We're still waiting for Logic to finally come into the pits. Does he remember he needs to come into the pits? Yeah, I'm just saying that he had to come in and make that pit stop. And upon coming out of the pits, his controller disconnected and he broke another wing. So at that point he just had enough. No one really wants to drive around once they've been at the front and then everything goes wrong. And you think to yourself, do I really want to drive around at the back in Monaco? Not really. Do I blame him? I wouldn't want to do it either. Kimi didn't even go back to the pits, he went straight back to his yacht and got drunk. Logic from its SAFRL, then Landmine, SPM, Pantry Star, Sugar Bear, Spikes, Naked Champ, Not Shumi. And then, due to that retirement, Andre has squeezed himself into the points. This is the leader, still waiting for him to make that pit stop. He's done an incredible 28 laps on this set of hard tyres. Remember, the laps around here are very short. In fact, 2 laps around here. Shorter than 1 lap of Spa, shorter than 1 lap of Saudi, shorter than 1 lap of Silverstone. Not Silverstone, just Saudi and Belgium. Yes, there are other short race circuits like Austria and Brazil, but this is the shortest. The only one under the FIA Grade 1 specification of 3.5 kilometers. It's also under the F1 grade for width. Only 10 meters in places. It's SAFRL. It's SAFRL. Another big retirement in this race. And what is going on in the closing stages? As far as safety cars go, it's been an absolutely clean race. We haven't even seen one at this point, lap 30 of 39, but we have had so many retirements. How is it possible? Monaco Grand Prix, lap 30 of 39, 7 retirements and no safety car. Again, I'll say, I have questions. This has now handed the Ferrari team quite the opportunity. Logic eventually comes into the pits. He saw one of his main competitors dropping out of the race not so long ago. Then he saw his other competitor in this race dropping out of the lap moments ago. So he knows this is his race, just needs to bring it to the end, and he's extended those hards so far that he's going to be able to finish on the soft. So he should have a huge advantage over the rest of the field. Not only is he on the superior compounder tyre, it's brand new and there's no one anywhere near him. His nearest opponent is his teammate in P2 and he's half a minute down the road. So joining that DNF list is Tian. We now have Tian, Skull, Savvy, Top Gun, Skulk and Mink all out of this race. Logic, Cubon just pointing out, yes, Logic is on the soft, extended that hard longer than anybody else. Probably had it in mind that this was what he was going to do. Wanted that extra grip, wanted that advantage at the end. Maybe to be able to race Tian and to race It's Free, but they have since dropped out of this race and handed him a huge race lead, 28 seconds. His teammate down in P2 has a huge lead of his own, 20 seconds over Ladmine. So if these drivers can just keep their cool, keep their concentration, we could very well have a Ferrari 1-2. And I'm not even sure when was the last time I ever commentated on a race that ended in a Ferrari 1-2. Of course, if you look at your championship standings, this race is a very confusing one. Looking at the Constructors' Championship, Constructors Drivers' Championship, Wees leads the way from It's Free. Both of those drivers are out of the race. Andre in P3 in the championship, he's still in the race. I think he's got 1 point next to his name. Big T, he's also out of this race. So all the other drivers getting an opportunity now to close up these championship leads. Logic gets lighting up the track in purple as expected. So not only would he go on to win this race, if nobody's able to do anything about that, then I don't think anybody's going to be able to do anything about that. Only one other driver on the soft tyre, and that is Virus, outside of the top 10. So I think Logic may have just confirmed that bonus point for himself. So not only will he go in with the 25 points, he could go in with the 26, with his teammate in second, maximum of 44 points for a team on a night. What a swing in the championship that would be for the Ferrari team. Looking at the Constructors, Ferrari in 5th place with just 43 points. They would pick up 44 points tonight. So keep your concentration, keep your cool, and you will double your championship points with one result. Logic from SPM, but no battle there, half a minute between the two. Then Ladmine a further 17 seconds down the road, Pantry Star further 5, 14 back to Ladmine, another 14 back to Naked Champ. This is what happens when you have no safety cars. Nothing to bring the field back together. It just spreads out over time. And when you have all sorts of shenanigans in the race, retirements, wing damage, unscheduled pit stops, over time the field just breaks apart and you get these massive gaps. We're actually riding with the battle for P7 because it's the only immediate battle on the track, and it's ended in disaster. That has ended in disaster. Red Bull versus McLaren. That might give you Lando Norris, Max Verstappen vibes. No one willing to give way. The Red Bull stayed in the wall. The McLaren managed to get away, but with a very, very broken wing. So Spike's back on his way. The Red Bull of Notsumi very much in the wall, and we got great footage of it. They happen to be the only battle on the race circuit. I guess that's why there's no battles on the race circuit, because they've all ended in that sort of a result. So now just the two Ferraris out front, 57 seconds between them. Of course, if you want the retirement record for Monte Carlo, you'd have to go back to 1996. Just 3 cars got over the line that day. Only one of them was on the lead lap. So that was a insane race. Rain in Monaco. It's Michael Schumacher's first ever pole position for Ferrari. Didn't end well. He crashed that Ferrari from pole position in the formation lap, and the race just didn't get any better from there. Logic now approaching a lapped car. Luckily for all of these drivers, rule has been implemented in the leagues that those lapped cars simply ghost. You can get on with it, drive right through them. Sometimes just get stuck behind one of those lapped cars. You find yourself in a position where it's not very convenient for them to get out of the way. They're just trying to hold the car on the track themselves. And then you come up in a rush, put them under pressure, and sometimes even leads to an incident. So Ghost car is not the most realistic, but definitely the best for the racing. Of course, if you go back to Brazil, remember Max Verstappen leading with a few laps to go. Went to lap Esteban Ocon and led to a retirement. Lost the lead of the race while trying to lap a car. Similar thing happened in Belgium 1997 when Michael Schumacher, leading the race, ran into David Coulthard, who he could not see through the spray of Spa. Actually, David Coulthard ran into Michael Schumacher. Apologies. Those are the famous pictures of the three-wheel Ferrari driving back to the pits. Back then the suspensions were so stiff, you could continue driving on three wheels. Not much to talk about on the circuit in the way of battles. Everybody is pretty spread out at this point. The nearest battle we have is for P4, and that's a gap of 2.5 seconds. Everybody else in the double digits. So I don't expect any more changes in this lineup unless we have serious incidents. We've had Andre DNF from this race. We've had Matsumi DNF from this race. It's Ferrari, Tian, Skull, Sabi, Top Gun, Sculp, and Mink. If things continue in this fashion, I think we're going to have 9 finishes from the 18 starters. That's half the field. That is half the field. And if that isn't an advertisement for the challenge that is Monaco, that's why so many people hate it, but I really want to see it stay. It's something different. Challenges even the quickest drivers, pushes even the quickest drivers into mistakes, into frustration. There's just no space. It's about being quick, and it's about being patient. Two things that don't usually go very well in racing. Quick and patient. This is Ladmine, driver currently looking to take P3. He does have that penalty next to his name, but like I said, the gaps are so big that at this point it makes no difference to them. 58 seconds the gap between Ladmine and Fantasy, so you'd have to have an awful amount of penalties to lose that position. Just needs to bring the car home. That's easier said than done. This is Logic. 44 seconds adrift from the man in P2. Insane lead. Ladmine in P3. According to Q-Bomb, Logic has lapped everyone up to P4. So just 3 cars on the lead lap. That's Logic, SPM and Ladmine. Ladmine almost a minute adrift from the leader, and he's in P3. 55 seconds to be exact. This may be the biggest spread of a field I've commentated on, at least here in SAFRL. Of course, you can set that timing screen to be leader or to be interval. If you're looking at those gaps and you think I've left it on leader, no, I haven't left it on leader. Those are interval gaps. So the gap between 1 and 2, 46 seconds. The gap between 2 and 3, 9 seconds. Gap between 3 and 4, 38 seconds. 4 and 5, 9 seconds. 5 and 6, 5 seconds. Then 6 and 7, 43 seconds. And then the gaps that are just confusing me. The gap between 7 and 8, 1 minute 10. And the gap between 8 and 9, 1 minute 4. Logic goes over the line. Classy drive. We're going to go back to his teammate, and look where his teammate is. His teammate's entering the tunnel. It's not something you see every day. Driver in P1 goes over the line in Monaco to win the race, and the driver in P2 is entering the tunnel. The driver in P3, well, he's entering the tunnel now. It's quite the spread. Some of these drivers will have already finished the race. Of course, if you're a lap behind, you're not required to go around for that last lap. You're going to run into the leaders on their victory lap. Of course, we had quite a few viewers here at one stage this evening. So glad all of you joined. Of course, like I said, usually we're only back on Sunday, but we're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be back tomorrow at a pretty weird time slot. We're going to be back at 10 p.m. We're also going to be back on Thursday at 10 p.m. Hope to see all of you there. Naked Champ gets the driver of the day. And now we have to mute the game because F1 is very greedy with their copyright songs. Brief look at the podium. Just because it's a Ferrari 1-2, we'll sit on it a little longer. Wonder how many Ferrari 1-2s we're going to see in 2025. Logic takes the victory from second on the grid. Then it's SPM in the second, Ferrari a 1-2 for that team. Great day for them. 44 points in the Constructors' Championship. Ladmine P3. Then we've got Pantry Star P4. Naked Champ P5. Sugar Bear P6. Spikes P7. Captain Slow P8. Virus P9. And I think that is the last of your finishes. DNFs went the way of Natsumi Andre, who looked like he was going to get into the points at the end, but couldn't hold it all the way. Then you got It's Free, Tian, some big names. Skull, he had all sorts of problems. Sabi, P5. I read that completely wrong. Sabi, DNF. And then Top Gun, DNF, and Skulk. Also in that DNFs column along with Mink. Skull, well, he didn't have a crash. He just had all sorts of issues from the very beginning. From qualifying, his car was ghosting in casino, just wasn't able to join the lobby. It was an outright disaster. So of course that was SAFRL Season 10 Round 5 mystery race. Not a mystery race anymore. We all know what happened. We spun the wheel, we got Monaco, we raced at Monaco. We didn't get rain. Surprisingly, we didn't get any safety cars. We did get 5 virtuals, and we got a lot of gaps. We also got a Ferrari 1-2. So an interesting night all round. I want to thank everybody who joined us on the stream, everybody who joined us in the comments section. Of course, I am going to open up the Discord to see if anybody does want to join and come and have a chat about their race. I think I know what the conversation is going to sound like. If anybody joins, they're going to say it was Havoc. That's pretty predictable. Not quite sure what happened there. I thought the stream had gone down, but it appears to be working. So again, thank you to everybody. I'm going to just try and open up my Discord. It's giving me a bit of trouble. And then we'll see if anybody has joined the cool down room. If they have, we can pull them into the comms box and ask them about their race. This is a great time for Discord to be doing some forced updates. There we go. We got in soon enough. So we are in the NFR Discord server. There's no one in the cooldown room right now, so we'll just allow another minute or two to see if anybody does want to join. And I will be back either to say goodbye, or I will be back with a driver or two. I'll be back in just a minute or two from now.
Racing fast in full stride. Crashes, spins on the track. Up and down, who's coming back? Champions rise, no slack. Push to the front, never back. Pit stops, precision, gold. Strategy, daring, bold. Who will lead, not foretold. Speed and skill, tales unfold. SAFRL, we ride. Highs and lows, side by side. Drama here can't hide. Racing fast in full stride.
Welcome back again. Just gonna have one more look at the Discord. There's no one there this evening, so we're gonna end things here. I want to thank everybody who joined us this evening, Season 10, Round 5, Monte Carlo here in SAFRL. And again, like I say, usually we go on a bit of a break till Tuesday. Not this time around. You can see it there on your screen. Wednesday night, we've got Division 2 of HRA. And then on Thursday night, Division 1 of HRA, featuring all of the aliens and more. It's going to be a little different. I'm not going to be the lead commentator. I am, in fact, a guest. But I did get the league to agree to a simulcast. So if you're used to watching it on this channel, you can watch it on this channel as usual. It will also be on HRA's Twitch channel. Same commentary for both channels. Different camera angles. I hope to see you there. I hope to see all of you there, and maybe even a few new faces. So until tomorrow night at 10 p.m, don't come here at 8 and wonder what's going on. Remember, not at 8, at 10. I'll see you all then. Till tomorrow night. Cheers.
Victory's close. Who will win? In our heads, the engine's din. NFR, let's begin. NFR, lights are green. Zooming fast, sick machine. Every twist, every scene. Catch the action on your screen. NFR. NFR, yeah. Drama high, stars afar. Round the track like a shooting star. Feel the rush, NFR. Lap by lap, watch them spin. Victory's close. Who will win? In our heads, the engine's din. NFR, let's begin.
Tuesday night lights burn bright. Racers chasing dreams in flight. SAFRL thunder roar. Spinning wheels forevermore. Engines scream at 8 o'clock. Adrenaline like ticking clock. Turns and twists where legends bleed. Every fan needs to believe. In the league of SAFRL we rise. Fuel and fire in our eyes. From the lows to the highest highs. It's the thrill that never dies. Pit stops quick, a race of fate. Champions born at heaven's gates. Trackside hearts beat wild and free. Victory for all to see. Rivalries burn tire lights. Red light. In the league of SAFRL, we rise, fuel and fire in our eyes. From the lows to the highest highs, it's the thrill that never dies. In the league of SAFRL, we rise, fuel and fire in our eyes. From the lows to the highest highs, it's the thrill that never dies. In the league of SAFRL, we rise, fuel and fire in our eyes. From the lows to the highest highs, it's the thrill that never dies. The thrill that never dies. Can't stop quick, a race of fate. Champions born at heaven's gate. Trackside hearts beat wild and free. A victory for all to see. Rivalries burn tire might. Red and green in the night. Final lap on the moon's gaze. Ending in a roaring blaze. Crowd roars like crashing tide. In SAFRL we take pride. From start to end heroes fight. Everlasting speed, delight, delight.
Well, gather round, folks, let me spin you a tale about a race car driver, George Russell by name. He's quick on the track, but don't get too excited, 'cause when it comes to greatness, well, he's not quite knighted. He's good, but not that great. Oh, George,